welcome, 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 welcome. Newcomers, welcome, old comers, and people who've been with us a while. This is WeAwake, and this is iAwake's little thing to reach out and meditate together using the technology that we've been developing for the last 10 plus years. And today we have a real favorite of mine we're going to do. It's a half-hour track, and it's track one in a two-track offering, if you will, called Schumann Holophonic. Okay, and Schumann Holophonic, it's somewhere right where alpha meets theta, and it's also allegedly the resonance of the planet. This is yeah, it's 30 minutes, a Schumann resonance between alpha and theta, which are two really just good, there's a real focus on alpha. It's a really nice meditative vibe, and a theta gets more into the subconscious and unconscious mind and REM sleep and everything. It's kind of a place for spiritual revelations and creativity and dreams and visions and this stuff. So there's a lot of stuff there. And the recording of this is a thunderstorm, and it is so cool. It's just really, really, I mean, I hope you guys like thunderstorms, because strap your seatbelts on, because this is really good. And I've had some just absolutely fantastic experiences being in thunderstorms. One time I was in an old cowboy cabin in a lost canyon, actually called Dark Canyon, in southern Utah, and got hit by this tremendous thunderstorm. And I just sat out the window and just watched God unfold in front of my face. It was tremendous. So kind of brings me back to some of those experiences I've had in the wilderness, and how powerful thunder and lightning is, and our ancestors all associated it with the gods and with great power and stuff for obvious reasons. So without further ado, let's all hunker down and assume the position, spine straight, muscles relax, and let the our intention and the technology work its magic. So. Well, welcome, welcome here, still here. And hope that was, anyway, I love that track. And it's very bracing. So this morning when I was meditating, preparing to meditate with you guys, I get up in the morning and I stumble out of bed, make coffee. I have one of these little body stimulators that are called chi machines. You put your ankles in these saddles and blah, 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 blah. And I've been using that lately as part of my practice. And it lasts for about 15 minutes. And I put on, I was doing audio chi, I think, while I did it today. And that lasts for 15 minutes and you stop and just your whole body is just feel all this energy surging through your body. Then when you get ready to sit meditating, it's like the body just seems incredibly solid or just still or something. Anyway, it's a really good preparation for that. And I think it helps me with, I work out and play tennis a lot with soreness and stuff. It works on a bunch of levels. And they say it's good for brain chemical, positive brain chemicals. Anyway, it works along with what we're doing. All that to say is I have a morning routine and I don't miss the new release from WeAwake, which is called Morning Routine, and with Jonathan Robinson. But it's important, I think, to practice whatever you want to cultivate. If you want to become a more spiritual person, whatever that means to you, and that what that means is, I think, is a question that will unfold over a lifetime of practice. But today in my meditation, I was feeling really sad, and at first I kind of, I said, okay, well, what's this about? And then it's kind of, I have this thing when a powerful thing starts coming on, I'll just say, well, welcome, teacher, because it's something for me to, to accept, and you don't hear that. We don't we don't put that much in our copy talking about our product. Use WeAwake and you'll get super sad. No, we haven't used that one yet. But when I started feeling this, at some point it feels it's not me just having a bad day or me with my depression or that I've struggled with, or it's almost a holy sadness. It's a sacred thing, and it's just like, wow. And I mean, I think spirit, I think God grieves. Why? Because we grieve and we're God. Okay. That's what all the teachers have said, that we are it. And when you wake up to that, it changes everything. So I would just stay in that, and then you think about, well, now grief can make you feel really isolated and alone. It's like all the rest of the world's happy, having a life, and I'm just so lonely and so sad and feel so discouraged, but guess what? You're not alone. And if you stay with it, it starts opening your heart to everyone, that's grieving. Old people, young people, children, mothers, infants, everybody in between, lost teenagers trying to find their way, getting lost on the way, all of this stuff. There's so much suffering that goes on in our world. And even, even if life is great, there's a lot of grief. People die, right? You die. That's part of it. So how do you hold that? We hold it for sure. And it seems to cleanse us, and it seems to give us humility, and also it helps us be more compassionate, because if we just so full of ourselves and we, I've done it right and I got my education and I got money and I got this and I'm beautiful and blah, 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 blah. What happens? You become insufferable for one thing, but you also lose connection with the rest of the breathing, bleeding, grieving, rejoicing, universe. And so it's going, oh, great. I'm just feeling this deep, deep sadness. Now I have to go lead a meditation. you know. Anyway, so all right, but this is what is. It's what is. And so before I left, I opened the Gospel of Thomas, and in the Bibles that we have four Gospels: Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. And but back in the early days, after Jesus was no longer in the body, there were a whole bunch of Gospels, and there are a whole bunch of epistles, and everybody was writing letters to everybody, and people were writing letters in the name of other people, and there were apocalypses, and there were massive amounts of books available, which is really fascinating stuff. And then when Constantine, I don't know, a little history lesson here, when and you probably know this stuff, but when he started saying, okay, the Christianity is going to be this thing to help me shore up my squeaky empire, and he stopped persecuting Christians, and said this is going to be the official religion of the Roman Empire. Then they had to get it all together and say, okay, what do Christians believe? Because we didn't have smartphones and internets and telephones and either printing presses and stuff like that. So the different apostles that would go out to different areas and kind of develop their own versions. So Constantine wanted to bring it all together so there would be one orthodoxy, one truth, and they came up with some creeds and stuff that said this is what it's all about. Well, that was just what they selected to believe. But anyway, the Gospel of Thomas was found in 1948 in the sands of Egypt. It was probably this copy, which was in Coptic, which is the ancient Egyptian language of the time. It was written probably in the 3rd century, maybe even 2nd century. But it was a translation from the Greek, and they found a few fragments of Thomas hither and thither, the ancient kingdom of hither and thither. No, it's not ancient kingdom. Anyway, they found a few fragments to know there were also Greek, probably earlier versions. But some of the scholars think that this may be even earlier than the Gospel of Mark, right? Which is the earliest. Everyone agrees it's the first gospel that was written historically, and it has this really, really interesting version of Jesus. All right, there's no miracles, there's no stories, there's no narrative. There's Peter asking stupid questions and making a few stupid comments, but yeah, it's not really kind to Peter. And Mary's in there and very positive about women, but mainly it's just Jesus saying these statements, and a lot of them are similar to the stuff that we've heard before, and others are completely fresh. And it is, he didn't talk about him dying for our sins or any of this stuff. It seems to be about waking up to who and what we truly are, to our God selves, if you will. And a lot of the sayings are like koans. They're not like koans, they are koans. They're kind of these spiritual things that really puzzle us. What the heck is this? You kind of have to work through it, and you can't take it literally. You have to take it in your spiritual mind, if you will, to get the meaning. And then ding, and then they seem to they seem to transmit this awakening energy. And yeah, language is like that, it's like, written language scriptures can transmit awakening states of consciousness, and oral word can too. Wisdom can come through. It can change us. It can help us to see into deeper states of being. So anyway, I opened the Gospel of Thomas, and the quote I got was the first one. The disciples are asking Jesus, is circumcision really, that important? Okay. And Jesus said, well, if it were, you would have been born circumcised. Really? Can you imagine a 1st century Jew reading this? And then he says next, he says, but blessed are the poor. No, he says, it's more important to be circumcised in the heart. So that's what really matters, right? Having your heart open and protected, I guess, just open to God. I suppose what that means. That's what it means to me. And then he says, blessed are the poor, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. And the Gospel Matthew, where you see the Sermon on the Mount. There's a version in Luke too. Luke also, he says, and blessed are they that mourn, for they shall be comforted. And blessed is kind of old English, but it might be better translated happy. Happy are the poor, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. What a trip. And we definitely see that in some third world countries, and people are living under really difficult conditions. They seem to be a lot happier than we are with all our abundance and our stuff. And happy are those that mourn. It's blessed, it's good to grieve, because if you don't, I don't know, maybe you're just asleep, and I don't think there's any way to the ultimate light of being except through the darkness, through the suffering and the pain. And, earlier in my spiritual journey, I did quite a few psychedelics, and I wasn't a party guy. I didn't go to Ibiza, get loaded on ecstasy and whatever. I would do these substances and just meditate, and or go out into a mountain or a canyon, Lost Canyon someplace, and I almost always was drugged through hell before I got to heaven. God, I just went through incredible darkness, incredible pain, incredible suffering, just to the point that you feel that you're going to be shattered into non-existence. It's so crushing. And then I would come through, and there was God, and it put me all back together again. So yeah, that's the way I, been my experience with these things. So it's not something that I take lightly or do often. I haven't done it in years, as a matter of fact, but I sure learned a lot from that. And the necessary, I guess, to sum this up, the necessity to accept grief and accept pain, interior pain in practice, and not to think that somehow you're screwing up and that these are happy sounds. Yeah. In a sense they are. Yeah, they will help us to live more fulfilled, meaningful lives where deep happiness is successful, is possible. But we can't avoid the darkness, because it just causes all kinds of devastating issues, and it develops crummy religions, and you just can't avoid it. You have to accept it. And if you're a Christian, I mean, look at the story of Jesus, right? What he went through. And if we're called to be followers, I would say imitation of the spiritual life and the spiritual lessons that are contained within that story. And then Ken Wilber one time, he says, "Oh, Christianity will never go away. The story is just too good." It really is. It's just a great story of a man suffering and dying a horrible, horrible death so that others could live. It's good stuff. So anyway, I think that's enough for today, and maybe enough for all week. So anyway, love you guys. Thank you so much. And it's okay if you get sad. You just accept it, because grief and pain and sadness accepted is the royal road to compassion for all beings. Okay. Thank you. God bless.